Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 65th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. The team I'm in today consists of King's member Marcus, who has bought the Rome Scipio faction. Myself, Spartan Commander, who has also bought the Rome Scipio faction. And this is a Greco, who I think is Greek's Leonidas, who has bought the Germania faction. And here we have veteran player Scorpion King SR. Scorpion King's been playing RTW, I think, since it first came out 9.5 years ago, so he's a real veteran RTW player. So there's our team, usual 31k rules, no RT, no LS, 3 Zerks max, 2 HAs max, 6 Cav max. Let's see what happens. At this early stage of the battle, I thought we might like to look at Greek's Leonidas' Germania army here. As you see, you've got chosen axemen. Now these guys are effective against armour and have excellent morale, and can cut a swathe through Roman ranks as long as they don't get piloted too heavily. Then you have the Germania Night Raiders. Now these guys are tough troops, but also they've got a fear factor. They intimidate nearby enemy troops, so these guys are also very good as well. And then we have the infamous Berserkers. Now these guys are based actually on real historical characters who kind of did actually go berserk in battles. They were usually either really drunk, or they'd had a cocktail of drugs, or actually they did have mental health problems as well, and in battle they just literally went berserk, hence their names. Very formidable. And if you look at the size of them in this game in comparison to ordinary troops, here you go, look, you can see how big they are as well. Really big and powerful, and they've got a massive fear factor too. They really do intimidate enemy troops and can cause mass routs. Here we have the Germania Gothic Cavalry. Now this cavalry is very underestimated, I think, on the RTW battlefield. If you look at their specs, they're really good. They're one of the best cavalry in the game. And then we have the chosen archers. You need archers with Germania to cover your troops because they're very susceptible to arrow fire. So that's a great Germania army. Should be great to see how they do. And here we have the other team. We have Heaven's Legion, who has bought the Brutii faction. We have Titan's Odin, who has bought the Carthage faction. We have Super Ted, Brotherhood member Super Ted, also known as Talos, aka Talos. And then we have RTW player Death and Honor, who has bought the Rome SBQR faction. So there's the other team there. Should be interesting to see. Lots of good factions, lots of good armies. This should be a good one to watch. At this early stage of the battle, you can see that my teammate with his Macedon pikemen are formed up in front of me, but if you've noticed, I've pushed my army a little way through the Macedon main battle line there to put my pilot units in front of my allies' Macedon pikemen there. And of course the reason for that is just that with the enemy Julii units and the Carthage units approaching us, what I'm a bit worried about is that the Julii infantry are going to pilot my teammate there. And as you know, Macedon pikemen are very susceptible to being killed by Roman pilers, so I've put my pilot shield units out in front of it. If you notice here on the right hand side, you can see that our allies' archers are firing arrows into the flank of the enemy. If you've noticed, they've reduced that one Carthage Sacred Band unit down to single figures, where they're firing arrows into the flank. You can see how effective using archers on a flanking kind of attack can be against units. So that's a good tactic by our allies, using their archers there on the flanks, causing loads of casualties to the enemy. Right, at this early stage of the battle, I would like to ask people watching this a tactical question. There are going to be probably a lot of veteran RTW players watching this, as well as maybe some new players. So here's a question I've got to ask you. Here's our Germania ally, and we want him to attack the enemy SBQ army in front of us. But as you can see, the enemy have got Carthage Sacred Band pikemen by the side of us, and as we know that if you release berserkers and they go into pikemen, then the berserkers would die quickly. So what we need to do is to get our Germania ally to attack the enemy SBQR army, but we need to stop the pikemen from getting over to kind of reinforce his teammate. So if you were in this army that I'm in now, how would you do this? How would you get your Germania army to attack that enemy SBQR enemy and stop those pikemen from getting over there to reinforce their teammate? How would you do that? An interesting tactical question here. Can you see that our teammate has taken several of his Macedon pikemen plus his cavalry over to the right flank to draw a lot of the enemy over to our right, so they won't be able to reinforce their left very quickly. Let's see what happens. As you can see, I'm moving my Scipii army over to the left side of the Carthage and Julii enemy army units there. Okay, but I'm not going to stop where I am. I'm moving further left. Now, RTW players watching this, can you see what I'm trying to do here? I'm going to try and use my army as a blocking force to try and stop the Carthage pikemen getting over to their SBQR ally. I'm still going to keep moving left here. And if I can block those pikemen with my army, then that will then allow the Germania and my other Scipii ally there to charge into the enemy SBQR ranks. Here, can you see now that moving my army over that far now has kind of blocked the Carthage pikemen from getting across. Now all we need now is for my allies, the Scipii allies of mine and the Germania, to just charge straight into the SBQR infantry as quickly as they can, really. Just see, because you can see the Carthage pikemen have spotted the danger and they look like they're going to try and move pikemen over to the SBQR army there. But right, here we go. Here's the Germania allies coming in, charging in, and you can see that they're going to hit the enemy SBQR army hard here by the looks of it. Watch out for the berserkers to become activated. You'll see when they become activated, their banners will go red. There's one. You can see berserkers gone activated. The rest of the Germania army has hit the enemy SBQR. There you go, and you can see the other two berserker banners have just gone red as well. I'm charging my infantry in. Our other Scipii ally is charging his infantry in now. I think a good cavalry charge straight up through the middle there to back up the berserkers and the chosen axemen and the night raiders. And here we go. You see, I'm charging my cavalry in. I'm going straight for the centre of the melee there, because I think with that cav charge bonus, this could help cause a mass rout here on our left flank. Can you see the Germania cavalry are coming in as well? And bang! As we hit there, we cause kind of a mass rout of the enemy army there. If you notice, my Scipii infantry is still holding the Carthage pikemen at bay there, stopping and coming forward to support their ally. So now we've scored a massive hit on the left side there and routed that entire SBQR enemy army there. And now if we just move our forces in from left to right, we could start to roll up the enemy line, if you like. If you notice at the back, you can see the enemy Brutii army moving towards us. That's pretty well intact at the moment, so that could be a bit of a problem. As you see, the enemy Julii infantry are still fighting well there in the centre. But if you notice the berserkers, because they've got such a massive scare factor or fear factor, you'll see them get near enemy units, and you see those enemy units start to rout almost immediately as soon as they hit. Because of that scare factor. And if you notice now, here's a close-up of those berserkers. If you notice, as they get near those Carthage units, they kind of start a chain rout of enemy units there. One unit gets really scared and it scares another unit, etc, etc, and then they all start to rout. Here you can see now we're fighting an intact enemy Brutii army there. If you notice, we're putting in all our cavalry, Germania cavalry, and my Scipii cavalry, plus we got all our infantry in there. Now the berserkers are coming in from the flank, and I wouldn't think that Brutii army is going to last that long now. And there you go, you start to see them rout as well with that massive hit. If you notice, can you see Carthage Sacred Band Cavalry coming in? Now they're going to run into fleeing friendly enemy units, and they're going to rout. Can you see? Because they actually ran into their own friendly units routing, their morale dropped like a stone, and it caused them to rout as well.
General is dead. His men know their doom approaches.
If you notice, the enemy Julii infantry are still fighting, but if you notice, the 2 berserker units are heading straight into them, and because those Julii units were already battle damaged, they will probably rout, yeah, which they've done there.
Fill the heart of the enemy general with fear. Now he flees the field. The enemy general is slain, and now his men fear us.
There you are, the last few of the enemy Carthage units have broken as well. I'd just like to say that was a great move by our team on the left flank there, but not to forget that our Macedon ally, Scorpion King there, did a really good thing by drawing the enemy away on our right flank with his Macedon units. He sacrificed a lot of units there for the team win.
The day is out!
Just like to say, really well played to everybody in the game. There was lots of great moves by the other team, and really great teamwork by our team there. If you notice that even though Germania caused that massive rout, they haven't got absolutely fantastic kills there. They've got the highest kills in our team, but if you thought, you might have thought, well, seeing the damage they've done, they might have killed like more than 2,000. But actually what they tend to do is they just call the mass chain rout of armies, and these units don't tend to return back to the battlefield. So that's how good Germania can be when used in coordination with his allies. If you notice there, we really played as a team there to get the most out of the Germania attacking specs there. As I say, the other team played really well. I think that lightning hit we did on the left hand side kind of caught them out a little bit there, especially with Scorpion King taking his Macedon pikemen over to the right to draw a lot of their army away there, leaving the left open for us there. So I'd just like to say, really well played to everybody in the game. It was a great battle to be in, and I hope it was a great example of how well Germania can do on the 31k battlefield, as long as it's in coordination with its allies. It's Spartan Commander saying bye for now.